Game Reviews by GameSHOUT. The GameSHOUT PC Game Reviews.
Welcome back to GameSHOUT Radio. This is the PC Playground, and Captain Maverick, your host for the wildest fun around the world that can be had on a PC without taking your clothes off. That's right. All right. Listen, look, you know, a lot of people were going to tell you that, hey, they got the best show in the world, and you know, it turns out to be kind of a, well, maybe mediocre show. But look, we got a good show for you tonight. We got a lot of fun coming up. We have first a preview of Heroes Might and Magic 5. SexyJosh is going to bring that to you. Our demo of the week this week is World Racing 2. And that's kind of a kick. You get a chance to check that out. You might want to look into it. We'll talk about that in just a few. We've got a review coming at you from Soulrift of Dark Messiah of Might and Magic. We're kind of got this Might and Magic theme going on, and, well, our last Might and Magic is going to come from, well, the little area outside of Boneville, as I take you on a ride from out of Boneville. Let's go ahead and start. Hey, you guys see some of the news on the PC section of GameSHOUT.com yet? Darwinia demo is now available, so we got something to look forward to in looking into Darwinia. That, if I remember correctly, isn't that also Steam download? And we've got a Half-Life 2D shooter for the PC. That looked like it was kind of fun. So be sure to check that out and join us in the chat. You just go to GameSHOUT.com, click on the chat, and tell us what you think about the games as well. Because we've got a lot of, what we think about the games, but we'd like to hear what you think too. Let's jump right into this with SexyJosh's preview of Heroes of Might and Magic 5.
The hero is now directly moving to the garrison to attack. This should be a more complex battle. We will try to weaken the enemy with the Holy Word spell. In this situation, it's very interesting to use the special attack of the Griffins, the Battle Life. We'll go for the shooters, the Succubis.
Heroes of Might and Magic 5 has finally been announced a while back, and, well, after a really almost long hiatus from between 5 and 4, we're finally getting the game that we want. See, the Heroes of Might and Magic games have been a series of turn-based strategy games that, back in the heyday of PC gaming, were huge. I mean, these games were some of the best gaming you could possibly get before the first-person shooter and before, well, pretty much, anything else. Heroes 3 was the apex of these games, and it was, in my opinion, is still my favorite game today. Heroes 4 kind of fell under the, or Heroes, yeah, sorry. Heroes 4 kind of fell into the wayside, but now we have, yet again, Heroes 5. I think the reason Heroes 4 kind of fell a little to the wayside is because there was so much change to it. It brought the game into a 3D world, and basically from the 2D art style that was just so detailed and so beautiful, it brought it into this new 3D world. And as with most games, the 2D 3D transition is always a really tough one. Now, Heroes 5 comes around, and it's not done by New World Gaming as the original developers were back in the heyday. Now it's being done by Nibble Entertainment, as well as it's being done by, or being released by Ubisoft. See, Heroes is a part of this whole Might and Magic series. I mean, there's Dark Messiah of Might and Magic, which we'll have a preview of in a little bit here, and there's also the other kinds. There's also other Might and Magic games that have been in the past. You can go through the history of gaming, and you can probably find one or two of these older titles. Now, the new Heroes game brings in several new alliances and different sides that you can play as. There's the Haven, Sylvan, Academy, Inferno, and Necropolis. And with each faction, you're going to have different skills that you can train your heroes in. Now, this game is going to be fully 3D, and all the heroes will be in 3D, so you get to romp them around this new 3D, beautiful-looking world, doing their new little skills. Little Haven, for instance, has a counter-strike ability. This skill can be upgraded depending on its level. The creatures under the hero's control will deal more damages on retaliation strikes. This reflects the fact that Haven troops and heroes belong to a faction that is well organized and structured in combat, and also might-oriented. Then there you have like the Academy, which is a bunch of wizards. Sylvan, which is elves. The Inferno, which is the devils. The Necropolis, which are the necromancers. Dungeon, which are dark elves. And then they all have individual and special abilities. Now, and let's talk about the Academy, for instance. Every faction has their own city and town, and in that city and town, you can build multiple buildings, and from each building, you get certain abilities or skills or creatures to send along to defend your castle or to send along with your hero. The new creatures we're looking at at least for the Academy wizards are, you have your Gremlin, which can be upgraded to a Master Gremlin, your Stone Gargoyle, which is upgraded to an Obsidian Gargoyle, an Iron Golem, which is upgraded to a Steel Golem. You have your Mage, upgraded to an Archmage, a Djinn, which is upgraded to a Djinn Sultan, Rakshasa Rani, which is upgraded to a Rakshasa Raja, and then you have your Colossus, who is upgraded to a Titan. This might sound familiar to some of you, as in some of the past games, this pretty much has been the wizard side of the game. I mean, they weren't the Academy back then, but for the most part, these are some of the same creatures that were used in the older games. Creatures like the Iron Golem, the Gargoyle, the Djinn, the Mage. The Djinn was actually the genie in the old days, and the Colossus, up to the Titans. So we can definitely see a lot of older style influences from the older games definitely seeping over into this new one, which is really good. That way fans of the old games don't feel so alienated by this brand new look of the game and feel overall. I mean, for instance, they've also added in, I don't know if this is staying or not, the ability to see where your heroes traveled across the map with these little lines. In those little trails, you're going to be able to tell when your hero upgraded, what race he is, which individual distinctive trails for each hero. You can tell when he upgraded at what point in the map. When he fought against certain battles, and it's so much information in just a trail, just by the different colors and different designations for that trail. Now, to go a little bit more in depth on the Academy faction, which is the Wizards, they go so far as to say what their associated colors are, which are orange, saffron, and gold. They worship, they don't really worship anything. There are no gods to them. Merely, they don't view the dragons as gods, merely as more powerful beings. With enough study and experimentation, they too will achieve the power of the dragons. Their core philosophy is no gods, no masters. Knowledge is power. Power is freedom. So they're all about the knowledge and magic and all that. So they're going to be like a very magic heavy side. Whereas you can tell the Haven or the Humans is going to be a very organized army structured side. Then you're going to have the Sylvan, which are the elves, which will be the more beauty or nature-esque side. The Inferno, which is the destruction, the explosions, the violent side. And then you have the Necropolis, which is the basically death side. I mean, these are all very similar to old factions within the old Heroes of Might and Magic games. So I mean, these are just some things that we can look forward into the game. A story hasn't really been said as to what the story is going to be yet to this new game. But if it's anything like the last games, it should be semi-interesting. I've never really paid attention to the stories, to tell honest truth. In the last ones, I was just more about the core gameplay. So check this out. I'm definitely looking forward to this game because the Heroes of Might and Magic series is just one of the coolest series, and I'm glad that it's still going to this day. It's turn-based, but hey, some of us still like those games. So look forward to Heroes of Might and Magic 5. No release date yet, but we'll get more information to you as soon as we can. Maverick?
Yeah, it looks pretty cool. I kind of like a lot of what you can do in it. And I love the Griffin. I mean, the Griffin is cool. Yeah, it gets pretty powerful with that power dive thing going on. Yeah.
Battles are going to be really
well,
impressive in the 3D. It really looks really cool.
Now that's what I thought, and it gets down into the 3D level. I mean, you can get into it and see closer. I mean, that's one of the things that they're touting in this version. But let's jump into higher gear with World Racing 2. Get it? Higher gear, World Racing 2. World Racing 2 puts the fun of driving at center stage, offers you optimized arcade racing characteristics, rich, varied range of missions, lively 3D scenarios full of detail, enhanced tuning options, pretty good variety of integrated cars. Racing title features a sophisticated 3D landscape engine. It not only creates separate racetracks, but facilitates the creation of the kilometer-long series of full 3D. Seriously, the 3D environments, they're inspired by very attractive locations from all over the world. Allows the player to, leave the road and take appropriate shortcuts if necessary, too, or simply cruise through the terrain, enjoy exploring. More than 40 cars from 16 brands, 100 challenging tracks. Now, the demo, it gives you just a little bit less than that, okay? The demo, it's about 82 meg. It's a nice small download. It introduces the 3D landscaping and does give you the driving physics, very nice, smooth driving physics, but it focuses on the simulation aspect of world racing, and it doesn't put the fun of driving at center stage. It puts the simulation at center stage. It features a Italy track in the first demo. The lets you drive a VW Golf. Yeah, okay. Hey, you can have it any one of 12 different colors. You can't put any fancy, rims on it, and no vinyl or anything. But hey, you can at least have it in any one of a dozen fancy colors. Yeah, well, it is a fun racing game, and it does focus on the simulation, and it is something that I do definitely suggest that you check out in demo version. Yeah, you might get an idea whether or not you're going to like it in the full version. Well, with that, we're going to go ahead and step this back into the might and magic mentality, and we'll go over to Soulrift with Dark Messiah of Might and Magic. Yeah.
The time has come. For centuries, the legions of darkness have gathered their forces for this very moment. They are waiting for him. They are praying for him. Fate has chosen a young apprentice. May all your talents help you to stop him, because he is the Dark Messiah.
Dark Messiah of Might and Magic. It's set some 20 years after the events of the as-yet unreleased Heroes of Might and Magic 5, and it aims to bring the Might and Magic world into a bit more of a fast-paced action experience. Now, somewhat like the original Might and Magic games, this will be in the first-person perspective. However, gone are your party of 4 and automated combat roles. Now you're a party of 1, and the skills of combat rest squarely on your shoulders. Because in this action RPG, the sword swinging, the spell slinging, and the dagger stabbing has no automation at all. I admit I was a bit leery of such a heavy action approach to the Might and Magic series. The gameplay trailer, which primarily depicts monsters being slain, it seems to suggest that this game will be mostly hack and slash violence. Where's all that great questing, the epic role-playing, the fantastic adventures of the namesake games? Are we just going to run around levels with swords instead of guns and experience an otherwise indifferent from a first-person shooter? Well, fear not, fans of Might and Magic, because this game is in the hands of the pros. Arcane Studios is putting this game together for us, and if you were worried about inexperience, they don't have it. In 2002, Arcane released the fantastic title Arx Fatalis, which was pretty much the same action RPG formula, and that was a fabulous game. I think we can sleep soundly knowing that Dark Messiah of Might and Magic is in good hands. So far, details are sparse, but we do know that the game will feature a free-form character generation system, much like Arx Fatalis. Instead of choosing a specific class, you instead spend skill points to develop your character around 3 primary archetypes: the warrior, the wizard, and the rogue. You can, of course, customize your character and bridge those trees, such as like a battle mage type of character with both magic and combat skills, or perhaps a ranger with both combat and stealth abilities. Now, the game is also claiming to offer a very free-form world with many ways of getting through each mission. Now, the trailer, which featured an orc getting frozen with some ice magic, then falling to his doom when the player smashed up the bridge he was standing on, seems to support this claim. Of course, all that is made possible by the Source engine from Half-Life 2 fame, so expect plenty of physics effects, and as well graphical and lighting effects in this world environment. Now, the physics are also applicable to the player-controlled weapons. Sparks will fly, literally, when swords clash. Also, you'll have a few different combat options: click fast, and you'll do several click swings. Hold down the mouse button, and you'll charge up for a mighty strike. You can also kick your opponent backwards to give you a bit more room to execute that devastating blow, or if he's perched precariously on a ledge, kick him right over the end. The gameplay trailer featured plenty of swords thrust straight through your foes, and the sword even begins to accumulate blood as you go along, so we can probably expect a rating of teen or even mature. Now, in a recent interview, Arcane did claim that they were going to add multiplayer to Dark Messiah of Might and Magic. Unfortunately, they also said they had no plans for co-op multiplayer. And that, really, what other kind of multiplayer mode do you really want? And in what should primarily be in a role-playing game? It seems that they're going the route of, team-based multiplayer, like Capture the Flag. And frankly, I think their efforts could have been better placed with co-op or even no multiplayer at all, and focus on the single-player game experience. If they're putting in this sort of hack-and-slash multiplayer into the game, it makes me wonder if my initial presumption is incorrect and the game won't resemble Arx Fatalis at all. Well, either way, we'll just have to wait and see when this game comes out. It's due out for release in summer 2006. Developed by Arcane Studios and published by Ubisoft. Back to you.
That sounds like a real winner. I'm really looking forward to checking it out when it does come out. Yeah, what a blast. Well, listen, we got a lot of fun still ahead. Got a review coming up of Bone, out from Boneville. Yeah, and we're going to go to that right after we get back from this.
Are you looking for a stable game server hosting company? Well, BFG Servers has been in business since 2001. Looking for a game server hosting company with real credibility? Well, BFG Servers is a premier provider of internet gaming, voice, and web hosting services. Are you looking for a responsive, knowledgeable technical support? Well, BFG Servers generally responds to account holder technical issues within 1 hour. BFGServers.com, when size does matter.
GamesNet.net is back, and with some announcements about their new IRC services.
Do not be alarmed if you hear anything unusual.
GamesNet was the first IRC network for gamers since 1996. Forget about those other nonsense IRC networks such as QuakeNet or coffee drinkers such as GameSurge. Join the first IRC network for gamers since 1996. GamesNet.net. Ooh, I love it! GamesNet.net.
Welcome back to GameSHOUT Radio. This is Captain Maverick, your host for the PC Playground. And we've had a blast of magic previews tonight. We had SexyJosh's Heroes of Might and Magic 5 preview, and also Soulrift's Dark Messiah of Might and Magic preview. And looks like we've got some fun stuff to look forward to. Well, let's jump on over to my review of Bone out of Boneville, yeah.
She ain't what she used to be, the old gray mare. She ain't what she used to be many long years ago. Shut up!
Meet Phone Bone, Phony Bone, and Smiley Bone. 3 cousins lost far from home.
Hello! Hello!
In a strange new world.
Hey, watch it! Sorry.
Where new adventures await and new dangers lurk.
Mr. Dragon, have you seen my cousins?
You can join us for supper.
Join Phone and his friends on their first truly interactive adventure.
That's right, kid. Never play an ace if the 2 will do.
Stupid rat creatures!
Yeah. This Jeff Smith, he first created Bone Comics when he was in kindergarten in Columbus, Ohio. He drew his inspiration from the Schultz Peanuts comics of the day, and still today. Disney's Uncle Scrooge, Walt Kelly's Pogo. Though you may think he also got a little bit of their look from Casper the Friendly Ghost from the late 60s. There are 33-plus issues that have been published in 9 different languages. Now Smith, he's received 10 awards for his work. He has a huge international following, and the Bone series is one of the top 50 comic books. If you go online, find some of the original comic books, you're going to find them on sale at collector prices from $25 to $50 a piece U.S. Now, enter Telltale Games, made up of some very talented people from LucasArts, from among other companies. Some of the credits to their name, of their staff members, are Sam and Max, now just being released by Telltale, by the way, in comic form. I know that's got a pretty big following in Finland, Denmark, and several other areas in Europe. Grim Fandango. Remember Escape from Monkey Island? Star Wars Obi-Wan and Rogue Squadron? Very talented team. They Telltale assembled a very talented team. Their show this does show in their comic work. They're also doing other projects, including CSI with Ubisoft. So this company is one definitely to keep an eye on. Well, Telltale Games has now taken the adventure of Bones into a realistic 3D world. It allows you to, well, actually play the comics' adventures. The story, it's right along the same line as the original published comics. Although a few minor changes were made to facilitate the transition. Those of you who were already Bone fans will really enjoy the way the comics come alive. Those of you who are not fans of Bone, or had not been, but you're looking for something really simple, fairly fun video game with, well, a story, really, this might be something to your liking. Of course, there are a couple of things that I found not to my liking also, but part of that's my age. Though this game does have some adult moments, it appears to be more of a game that children and younger teens are going to find to their liking. basically it's kind of a change of pace from those action-packed wild shooter and racing games. Now, we start our story with Bone Cousins, the Bone Cousins, in the middle of the desert. Now, they've been run out of Boneville, and they've been running from the townsfolk for about 2 weeks now. Why are they run out of town? Well, you can ask that, but all will be revealed in its proper time, and the story will, well, you got to have something for the story, but let me tell you, it does have something to do with a balloon and some discount prunes that were made into tarts for a picnic. All right? That give you a wild ride idea? Well, we have our leading bone, Phone Bone, who's the voice of wisdom and moderation in the group. Then there's Smiley Bone. He's kind of laid back. He works very little, enjoys life to its fullest, and so sometimes he does kind of go on an empty belly once or twice. But my favorite really is, and the reason they were run out of Boneville was Phony Bone. He was the richest bone in Boneville until the incident. And to prove his greatness, he wears a star on the front of his shirt. Now, they may not be the greatest bones of all time. I mean, not like Big Johnson Bone, who has a statue right in the middle of the town square of Boneville. But they will tickle your funny bone. Okay? It seems that this trio, they're very well balanced for the task at hand. Now, if all the adventures they're going to find along the way, they start out by becoming separated by locusts. They seem to outrun them. They find themselves in a strange, lush valley, all separated, and they befriend some very interesting creatures. Well, some of them befriended, some not. There's this little leaf bug named Ted and his big brother. Then there's the rat creatures that just can't seem to be able to decide whether to make Phone Bone into a stew or a quiche. And then their leader, King Dong. They seem to be in search of some small, bald creature with a star on his chest. Yep, but they're going to eat anything they can find until they find what they're searching for. Then there's the beautiful Thorn and her grandmother, Ben, who races cattle. And you can't forget the Possum Kids and the Red Dragon. Well, the story out of Boneville, it plays exactly like a comic book. The pace is very slow. There are a couple of moments where you can kind of get slightly panicked, but other than that, it's very laid back. You go from the desert to dark caves to the valleys, and the storyline, it's really a nice little deviation, or very little deviation from the original course. It's a nice little diversion. There's not a lot of places to explore outside of the game frame, but there are some places to explore within this. If you like to work puzzles, most gamers are going to breeze through most of these puzzles. But it is designed for the casual gamer as well. Now, the best feature of all, it's a comic book and it's episodic adventure. It means that they're going to be coming out with new editions. Now, I like the way Out of Boneville is kind of retelling the story, but the graphics are nicely detailed. But it was a very easy, super easy game, and really it's more of a story fit for the younger crowd, not for the older crowd. But during our interview, Dan Connors was talking about the future considerations and future projects out of Boneville, and Sam and Max series. They're going to be taking some of that talent now. If you like the slower paced style, this is one for you. I think you'll enjoy. For the most part, it wasn't going to appeal to the mass audience that I was looking for. I gave it a 7 out of 10. Well, that's it. That's going to give you our look for the PC Playground. And coming up next, we're going to have Technology Today, sponsored by Newegg.com, right after this.
This is GameSHOUT Radio, the #1 talk game station in the world. Visit GameSHOUT.com for more info. GameSHOUT. GameSHOUT.
You're listening to GameSHOUT.